So majestic. So beautiful. Bag stuck in the tree. Way above the roof of the house.
Now, what the heck is this thing? So, a lot of LEDs in the Saabs will either hyperflash or throw errors when you throw them in. So people will take resistors, wire them up, but they'll still get hyperflash. So, what I've done is take a waterproof relay, and when this relay doesn't get power, it sends the signal that's trying to test the bulb to this resistor. That way, the hyperflash goes through here instead of to the actual bulb. Now, when the relay actually gets power, it's going to send it on to the bulb, and that's what these two wires are for. So, we'll wire it up. If this doesn't make sense to you, here's a wiring diagram. And that hopefully should make more sense of it. I'm going to show you what wires I'm tapping into here, and I should probably give you a diagram here to show you left versus right side, what pins are on the actual headlight harness, and good stuff like that. So let me show you what's going on. So I'm over here on the right side of the Saab. This is the connector that runs into the headlight. Like I said, I showed you the wiring diagram, so you know what all these pins do. Runs into a bigger harness there. Pretty much the same deal on the left-hand side. In fact, I've already wired things in that are living down there. Basically just tapped into stock harness. There's the connector for the headlight down there. And so, all we really need to do is come over here and unwrap things a little bit, either at this point or maybe up here. We'll find a point to tap in. So again, from our connector friend, right up here where the harness splits, I've peeled things apart. I've pulled away all the ground wires and other black wires. So we'll basically have to figure out which of the 4 black wires we want to ground into. And on the right side, the turn signal flasher in this case is this purple and green wire. Over on the left side, I think it's blue and white. But again, look up the wiring diagram for your car and make sure that you get everything right here. So now, basically all we need to do is start splicing things in. So I'm going to start packing into the car's factory harness. Word of caution here about what you're going to see. This wire here, this thicker one on the left that I've got my thumb on, that's for a headlight motor. This one over here, the skinnier one, is the actual wire that we want. I've fixed it now, but what you're going to see is me tapping into this wire, which is not correct. So just be careful about which wires you're getting. I would also probably take a multimeter after cutting and stripping. Stick it on the bright pin that you think is correct up here based on the wiring diagram. Just verify all along before you start soldering things together so you don't have to redo work like I just did. Alright, so I took the fun little relay, and he has a fun little mounting tab, and I stuck him on this little bumper support here. That happened to be an M6 by 1.0 thread pitch nut. So I just put him on there. Let me see if I can show you better. Yep, so he's just hanging out down there. Haven't dealt with that yet. Wires run up from the other side of this intake tube, at least on this side. And so we cut the green and purple wire. Input side was red according to the wiring diagram. Now keep in mind the colors could be different on your car. Anyways, blue wire gets sent up the line to the harness. So now we just need to tap into the ground and we should be done. So I'm going to go ahead and get on that. Okie dokie. So took our ground wire, ran them up here. And I kind of tapped him into the thickest of the black wires. I kind of felt which wire felt the thickest, and that's where I tapped him into ground. So ground is tapped in. We have our purple and green tapped, and our other one is tapped down there. I can't even freaking talk. I did throw a zip tie on there just to add a little bit of strain relief. And we're going to wrap this back up in electrical tape because that seemed to be, more or less what it was wrapped up in from the factory. So we'll make this all look nice and neat, and we should be good. And I probably should also take this resistor, a little bit of double stick tape, put them on a metal surface there, just to heat sink them a little bit. I doubt I'll get that hot, but just having him positively affixed to something would probably be a good idea. And here's what things look like now. Nice and wrapped up. Everything's nice, neat, and tidy. I added whoa, God, tripping over everything. Added another zip tie here just to kind of retain things. Like I said, probably should add some double stick tape to positively affix that. Relay's bolted on, nice and neat. And if we come over here to the passenger side, we pretty much have the exact same deal. Tapped in up here, and there's our stock harness. Should be good. All right, time to do some testing. Got our lights all hooked up. I took the fun little power board here and hooked it into this pigtail connector. Remember, brown is ground, black is positive, weirdly enough. So we've got our fun little board down there, just hanging out for a minute. Here's what's gonna power our orange LEDs in the corner. Got our strip hooked in, which is just hooked into that. We will need to figure out where our orange wire is gonna go for our turn signal. Now, I also put an LED bulb in. I'm gonna take this orange wire, I'm probably gonna touch it here to see, if that's the correct side or if that's the correct side. Gotta make sure the polarity's right for things to actually flash. So we're gonna take this out to the car and test it out. Probably should put the bulb in. If I do, I'll show you in just a second. I've also got the ballast and the little computer for the active headlights that we're gonna pop back in as well. There's our old bulb. All right. And yes, I did just smash them back on there without fasteners. It'll be fine just for testing. So we've come around over here to the back side of the projector. This is the wire that'll go to our igniter. Here's where our bulb is gonna screw in. In fact, let's unscrew him real quick because we're gonna be putting this bulb in. I want to show you guys how it works. So we'll set this guy aside. Make sure we've got this retention ring in there. And now, this projector uses, I believe, a D2S bulb, which I've got here. But the stock projectors use a D1S bulb, so we're going to need a special igniter in order to convert. This takes a D1S plug and actually fits onto the D2S bulb. So, without touching the bulb, he just slots in there, and then we're going to take this retention ring and tighten it up on there. He just spins on. Then we can put this on. Okay, so here's our bulb. Don't touch the glass of this. In fact, I should probably be wearing gloves. He slots in like this. The big notch on him faces upwards. Bring this all into perspective here for you guys. There we go. I'm just gonna take this black ring. Just tighten them on there. Looking good. So now, take our igniter, and I like to connect the electrical first. Then this twist this direction, and you turn them on the bulb. Doesn't want to turn on the bulb. We got an issue. There we go. So basically what I was doing there is just spinning the blue ring on the back until it took up the slack. Now, oh man, a little tighten here, and just lock on. Our igniter, finally. All right, let's go outside and test. All right, so we've got everything plugged in. I'm gonna take this fun little test lead here, bend back that electrical connector. I'm gonna clamp onto him. I'm gonna take our fun little test lead and hook it up to this orange wire for the strip. Now, I'm gonna go mess with the car. So our white strip looks good. Also looks like our orange LEDs are going, although I'd probably like those a little bit brighter. So what I really need to do is get a small screwdriver to spin this guy. And what I'll probably do is take a voltage reading on the output side of this just so I can match the brightness on the other side. But I think that's a pretty good point. I'll show you. I think that matches pretty decently. And then if I hit the unlock button on the remote, looks like I've got the polarity backwards. We should see flashing on the LED strip. Let's switch to the other side. All right, now we should see it flash. Beautiful. Let me see what happens here. I'm gonna hit the turn signal. Of course, our relay that we hooked in earlier is clicking away. I'm liking where we are. Now, another thing we need to do is test the actual xenon bulb and headlights. So let me go back in the car. I'll stick the key in it so we can power it up. We also need to test the high beam. So you'll see me flicking the high beams quite a bit, and you'll probably hear the solenoid click. Hopefully. Yep, we're lit up here, which is a good thing. Apparently I've got a small vacuum leak because I can hear the pump running. So our shutter down. Looks like it is. Alright, we can flip the high beams a few more times. Nope, looks like our high beams aren't working. That's a problem. I'm gonna have to see if I forgot to connect an electrical connector or what's going on. There's a connector on the back of this that I forgot to connect, which would probably explain the problem. Let's test this again. That's the sound we want to hear. Well, I'm pretty satisfied with how the testing worked out. We'll need to take that orange wire, solder it on to where I've got that yellow test lead. I clicked the high beam solenoid by flashing the high beams about 1,000,000 times, so we made sure that doesn't fail. Bulb looks good. I think we're pretty much ready to start getting through some nice little final things here. Soldering outside. So, turn on my soldering iron. Going to remove our fun little clip here. Nice thing about these is that they're copper. Oh my god, one of my cats is scratching at the door. If only you guys could see. I'm gonna grab a little bit of flux. Just flux them up in there. Also gonna grab some more flux. Just kind of do that. I don't like that I got them on the plastic there, but yeah, I can grab a rag and shove them in there. I'm going to tin this wire. So that looks pretty good. Grab a little extra solder. Alright. Don't burn yourself. Actually, it was not directly on it. Let's try that again. See, on the other one, I was really fortunate because it was on the outside, but of course this one is going to be the inner one where I've got to go right up against plastic that's impossible to reach. That is doing projects like this sometimes. Yep, that was me burning myself. Come on. I'm actually just gonna tin that connector there. Get some more solder on him. Beautiful. A little more flux. Get off of there. I don't want you on that. Alright. All I gotta do is hold on to this stupid wire. I think I got him in there. Yep, he's in. If your exhaust sounds like that, I should smack you in the face. But yeah, he's on. So I'll probably just take him and when I do all the final wiring and wire routing and zip tying of things, tuck him back there like that so he doesn't get in the way. But yeah. Alright, got it clipped in. Now we're just going to deal with all these wires. Little blue electrical connector slides in there. And he's nice and happy. Now we got to do some wire management. I also brought this wonderful reflector for the turn signal backup, because we're going to kind of have to hide everything. Just based on what I did on this other light. I'm going to take this guy and kind of shove him up here, so that we can have access to this little turn here so that we can adjust brightness after we've got everything in. So you'll also take this LED driver, and I believe he's gonna live kind of, well, if I could get a good grip on him.